For today's video, we'll be taking a look at the ROG NUC 2025 mini gaming PC by ASUS. Also known as the ROG NUC 15 in certain quarters, I have with me the NUC 15 JNK model, which is powered by Intel's high-end Core Ultra 9 275HX mobile processor. As the successor to last year's ROG NUC 970 that I reviewed more than a year ago, we'll take a look at the specs of this mini PC, unbox it, and run some benchmarks to see how it performs. Let's get started. Starting with the packaging, we see that ASUS has gone for the usual black and red colorway that has come to be associated with the ROG brand. And over on the rear, we get a summary of the specifications of the ROG NUC 2025 mini PC. Here's a quick look at the specs of the ROG NUC 2025 review unit that I was sent for this video, the NUC 15 JNK. ASUS has equipped this review sample with a top-of-the-line Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX mobile processor, which is a 24-core part with 8 P cores and 16 E cores. It has a maximum turbo frequency of 5.4 GHz and comes with integrated Intel Arc Xe LPG graphics. The PC also comes with NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 5080 mobile GPU with 16GB of GDDR7 VRAM. We've also got two 16GB sticks of SK Hynix DDR5 6400C SODIMM RAMs for a total of 32GB of RAM. And storage-wise, the ROG NUC 2025 has a Micron 3500 2TB SSD pre-installed. Audio is powered by a Realtek ALC3251 audio codec, while your internet connectivity needs are met by an Intel Killer BE1750X Wi-Fi 7 module with built-in Bluetooth 5.4 support, as well as an Intel E3100G 2.5GB Ethernet controller. We do also get the following I/O ports with the ROG NUC 2025. I'll run through the mini PC's connectivity in detail later on in this video. And with that, let's take a look at the contents of the box. And here it is, the ROG NUC 2025. We'll take a closer look at it later on in this video. Let's have a look at the accessories that have come included with this mini PC. Right, so first up, we get a regulatory information leaflet. And this is accompanied by a safety information booklet. We do also get a warranty information booklet like so. And that pretty much sums up everything that we get in terms of documentation. Moving on, we get a 330-watt power brick right here. In case you're wondering, it's made by Chickeny. And we do also get a corresponding power cord like so. Okay, that seems to be the last of it in terms of accessories. Let's get on with the review. Taking a closer look at the ROG NUC 2025, it has a case size of just 3 liters and is constructed entirely of matte black plastic with the dimensions that you can see on the screen. The front panel is pretty straightforward, where we get an illuminated RGB LED strip right below the ROG logo, as well as your usual front panel connectors. On one side of the mini PC, we get a clear plastic panel where an illuminated ROG motif with RGB lighting effects is clearly visible, alongside a single ventilation opening that exposes a blower-style cooling fan. In case you're wondering, the RGB lighting effects of the ROG logo can be configured via the ASUS Armoury Crate software from within Windows. On the other side of the mini PC, we get ventilation cutouts in the shape of the ROG wordmark, where if you look closely enough, you can see two blower-style cooling fans as well. Moving on, we also get ventilation openings on the rear of the ROG NUC 2025 and on the short edge of the PC. It's worth highlighting that the ROG NUC 2025 is designed to be placed in the horizontal position, where as a result, it has feet that are fixed in place, unlike its predecessor, the ROG NUC 970, which has removable feet and can hence be placed in both the horizontal and vertical position. In terms of front I/O, we get a power button, a 3.5mm audio combo jack, a USB 20Gbps Type-C port with support for the following power delivery profiles, and two USB 10Gbps Type-A ports. As for the rear I/O, the ROG NUC 2025 comes with four USB 10Gbps Type-A ports, a 2.5GB Ethernet port, as well as a Thunderbolt 4 port that supports the DisplayPort 2.1 standard with the power delivery profiles that you can see on the screen. Moving on, we also get two DisplayPort 2.1 ports as well as two HDMI 2.1 ports. According to the spec sheet for this mini PC, the ROG NUC 2025 supports up to 5 displays at 4K resolution simultaneously. To round things off, we get a port for the power adapter as well as a Kensington lock slot. For service access, the ROG NUC 2025 features a chassis with a toolless design, and gaining access to the insides involves undoing a single thumb screw and sliding the lid out like so. Do note that doing so will require a bit of effort. After sliding the lid off its rails by a little, you'll then have to carefully flip the lid in this direction, the reason being that the LED of the ROG logo is connected to the motherboard, so you definitely don't want to be ripping the said cable off from the motherboard by accident. Disconnect the cable and you now have full access to the mini PC's motherboard. Okay, so here's the motherboard of the ROG NUC 2025 in full view. First up, we've got the Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX sitting beneath this blower-style CPU cooler. And in these two locations, we can see the two M.2 slots that the mini PC comes with, of which this slot here is populated by the pre-installed Micron 2TB NVMe SSD that comes with the ROG NUC 2025 as standard. Do note that while the included Micron 3500 drive is a PCIe 4.0 x4 part, this slot is actually a PCIe 5.0 x4 slot, meaning that you can replace the included SSD with a Gen 5 drive if you so wish. The other M.2 slot, which is a PCIe 4.0 x4 slot, is empty and available for you to install a second drive where needed. Given that PCIe 5.0 drives tend to run pretty toasty, it's great to see that ASUS has included a bracket cum heatsink assembly for the primary PCIe 5.0 x4 M.2 slot. This should come in useful in keeping SSD temperatures at bay should you choose to upgrade to a PCIe 5.0 M.2 drive in the future. Now, removing and replacing the pre-installed drives pretty straightforward. All you've got to do is to undo the M.2 Q latch like so, and this releases the M.2 drive from the slot. Removing the heatsink from the pre-installed Micron drive is somewhat easy, I would say. All you've got to do is to undo these two wires from beneath their respective hooks, which does require a bit of fiddling about. With the hooks undone, you can then lift the heatsink away from the heatsink assembly. The M.2 SSD can then be removed from the M.2 drive bracket with ease by simply prying it off, like so. While we're still on the topic of M.2 slots, the Intel Killer BE1750X Wi-Fi 7 module can be found beneath this metal shroud that's held in place by two screws. where it utilizes the M.2 Key E form factor. This means in future, you can swap out the modules for something newer, say a Wi-Fi 8 module when they're released. We do also get 2 DDR5 SODIMM slots, which are pre-populated with 2 SK Hynix 16GB DDR5 6400C SODIMM modules for a total of 32GB of RAM. In case you're unaware, DDR5C SODIMMs are unlike your box standard DDR5 SODIMMs in that they come with an onboard clock driver to improve signal integrity. As of the time of publishing this review, the ROG NUC 2025 supports a maximum of 96GB of RAM, that is, 2 48GB sticks of RAM. It's great to see that the CMOS battery is easily accessible too, where it's located next to the second M.2 slot. And with that, here's a recap on the specs of the ROG NUC 2025, where it's pretty much a PC that's ready to go out of the box with Windows 11 Home pre-installed. It's worth noting that ASUS has included several power profiles within the BIOS of the ROG NUC 2025. We get max performance, balance, which is the default power profile, as well as low power. Exploring a little further, we get the option of tweaking the mini PC's fan profiles as well, where performance is the default setting. Within Windows via the pre-installed Armoury Crate software, we also get a section for tweaking operating modes, where performance once again is the default setting. For the purposes of testing the ROG NUC 2025, I'll be running all tests on the default performance operating mode in Armoury Crate, and in terms of BIOS settings, I've left the power mode on the default balance enabled setting and the fan profile on the default performance mode. To put the PC through its paces, I'll first be running 7-zips compression and decompression test, Cinebench 2024 as well as Cinebench R23 to test the performance of the Core Ultra 9 275HX processor. Thereafter, to get a sensing of gaming performance, I'll be running the in-game benchmark tests of Black Myth Wukong, Cyberpunk 2077, F1 23, as well as Shadow of the Tomb Raider at 1440p and 4K resolutions. Finally, I'll also be running CrystalDiskMark to check on the performance of the included Micron 3500 M.2 SSD. Let's get started. Next up, let's take a look at thermals and power draw. The following results were obtained via Hardware Info 64's sensor readout while running F123's in-game benchmark for around 9 minutes in a non-air conditioned room with an ambient temperature of around 30 degrees Celsius. As can be seen from the results on the screen, the Core Ultra 9 275HX processor achieved an average CPU package temperature of 76.3 degrees Celsius, where it hit a maximum temperature of 103 degrees Celsius during benchmarking. CPU package power draw was around 33.8 watts during the benchmark, with a maximum power draw of 53.9 watts. The GeForce RTX 5080 mobile GPU, on the other hand, achieved an average GPU temperature of 77 degrees Celsius and a maximum GPU temperature of 79.7 degrees Celsius, while for GPU memory junction temperatures, we get an average temperature of 77.1 degrees Celsius and a maximum recorded temperature of 80 degrees Celsius. In terms of power draw, I recorded an average GPU power draw of 173 watts, with a maximum power draw figure of 174 watts. The idle thermal and power draw figures are as per what you see on the screen. The Core Ultra 9 275HX had an average idle temperature of 56.1 degrees Celsius while drawing an average of 11.5 watts of power when idle. The RTX 5080 GPU, on the other hand, achieved an average temperature of 49.4 degrees Celsius and an idle GPU memory junction temperature of around 56.4 degrees Celsius, all while drawing about 10.9 watts of power when idle. A brief note on acoustics: the ROG NUC 2025 was definitely audible under gaming workloads. In a room with around 47.5 decibels of ambient noise levels, my decibel meter recorded 48 decibels of noise when the ROG NUC 2025 was idle, and 51 decibels of noise when under a typical gaming workload. To sum up, the ASUS ROG NUC 2025 is a premium mini PC offering that is well suited for gaming at decent frame rates on the 1080p and 1440p resolution. Now, given its performance, 4K gaming is still possible, but do be prepared to turn down the graphics settings a notch in order to get decent FPS performance. The ROG NUC 2025 also feels well built and comes with a good assortment of connectivity and I/O options. Thermal performance, on the other hand, could have been better in my opinion, and what might be the most off-putting for some would likely be its price. As of the time of publishing this review, the ROG NUC 2025 is available to purchase from the official ASUS web store in Singapore for a price of 4,449 Singapore dollars, which is pretty steep. Do bear in mind that the one that's being sold on the ASUS Singapore web store seems to come with a 1TB SSD instead of the 2TB SSD that came pre-installed on the media review unit that I tested. The alternative here could be to build your own PC in the ITX form factor, and you'd probably be able to put together something with much better specs for the same price. In any case, if money is no object, and you like the convenience of a mini gaming PC that's decently built, looks nice and is ready to use from the get-go, the ROG NUC 2025 could be something worth considering. With that, thank you so much for watching, do like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys around the next time.